going on, everybody? My name is Bafe, and for those of you guys who do not know me, I am the content manager for Yeousch Sports. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about Scuf Gaming. They are a controller manufacturing company focusing on making the world's greatest controllers. Now, those of you guys who don't know who Scuf Gaming is, they basically make the best first-person shooting controllers in the world. They are known for the first-person shooter, but today I wanted to talk to you about how these controllers can help you in sports gaming, or can they help you in sports gaming, since that is the main focus of my channel and obviously of Yeousch Sports. So today, or the last couple weeks I should say, I've spent quite a bit of time playing with these controllers, using them in different game modes, game types, focusing on the sports. So let's see how they stack up against people who play normal sports games. Can they actually give you an advantage like they do in first-person shooting games? So let's talk about some of the main features of these controllers. I'm going to show you some pictures of the controllers that I'm actually using and some of their features. So the main feature that sets Scuf apart from pretty much any other controller manufacturer are the back pedals. These are a Scuf Gaming exclusive. Basically, on the back of your controller, you can have 2 to 4 buttons that are added to the back of the controller that are programmed by Scuf to mimic any of the buttons on the front of the controller. So basically, you can have one of the buttons mimic your X button, or your square button, or your triangle button, or if you're on Xbox, the A, the B, whatever. So they can basically, you can touch those buttons in the back and they act as you're touching the button on the front. So pretty awesome. So they're especially useful in games like Call of Duty, where you can switch to tactical and use the button on the back to knife or jump without taking your thumb off of the right analog stick, which is very nice because then you can aim and jump at the same time. What else they have is adjustable hair triggers. So basically your RB and LB button on your Xbox can be adjusted to allow the slightest tap to activate. In most games, or most controllers, you have to press the button quite a bit of a ways in before it'll actually register that you're shooting, and that split second of difference can mean life or death, or an extra kill in Call of Duty. Also on the Xbox, they have what are called trigger stops for the RB and LB button, and it basically allows you to barely push the trigger down before it stops. So there's no more give all the way to the bottom of in where it hits the bottom of the controller. Now it just removes all that extra movement that you have to do to push the button in, and just saves you time when you're trying to shoot or aim down. Another big thing they have is dome sticks that you can get on your Xbox. A lot of people that use the PS3 controller, the one thing that they always say makes it better than the Xbox is the dome sticks. With Scuf, you can now get your Xbox controller to have these dome sticks on it. What also they have, which is pretty new and pretty awesome, I have to say, is the Scuf Grip. It's basically military-grade paint that's applied to the backside of your controller, and it helps keep the controller in your hands, keeps your hands dry, doesn't allow the controller to slip out of your hands when you're playing for a long time, but pretty awesome. So let's go over the overall positives and negatives that I see with this controller. First of all, in the positives, the Scuf Grip is amazingly comfortable, and I'm talking amazingly comfortable. I haven't used any of the other products out there like the Squid Grips or things like that, but this by far is one of the coolest features on these new controllers. Even after long gaming sessions of me playing MLB The Show or Call of Duty or any of that stuff, your hands stay dry. It feels like the controller is in your hands the whole time. Perfect grip, no slipping at all. It's amazing. Stock controllers are really smooth, and if you play just for a little bit, and you guys know if you play Road to the Show for very long, that controller just feels like it's not in your hands as good as it should be. So the Scuf Grip is amazing. Some of the other overall positives of the controller, if you go on their website, which there's a link in the description to scufgaming.com, they have so many amazing designs for controllers. No more plain just black or white or red. I mean, they have amazing designs. They're so cool. The back buttons are useful in more than just first-person shooters as well, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as we get into some of the game reviews for this controller. So the only negative that I really could find with this controller is that the back buttons, you can't reprogram them or repurpose them. As soon as you just put in your order, you tell them what you want each button to represent, so you can't change it. Hopefully down the road they can add some sort of switch that you can just basically change that on the fly, because as you know, a lot of different games require different button combinations, and it would be nice to be able to have one controller that you can switch and customize exactly how you want when you need to, based on what game you're playing. So another pro tip that I found, I have the wireless Astro 840s, the wireless what is it called? The mix amp, a wireless mix amp. If you have a wired Xbox controller, which I went with the wired Scuf gaming controller, you get some staticky noise sometimes when you have the mic plugged in. If your wireless mix amp is plugged into USB for charging, as soon as I take that out and run it off battery, it works perfectly. So just a pro tip that I found. Also make sure that every one of your connections is really clean. These are really sensitive, so just make sure you clean up all of your little input jacks and all that kind of stuff. So now clearly these controllers are made for Call of Duty and first-person shooter games, but let's find out why they are so good at the Call of Duty games. So first, the dome sticks are great for aiming. You get that precise shot because your thumb can kind of roll across it rather than being very harsh like on the Xbox controllers. The hair triggers and stops are perfect for shooting. It takes less time to push down the entire RB and LB buttons when you're shooting. Just that split second, like I said, of wasted movement can cost you in Call of Duty. Minuses, there really are no minuses for first-person shooters. They're made exactly for Call of Duty. They are made for Call of Duty. They're made for first-person shooters. That's why they're so great. That's why they're wonderful. So everything on this controller is made to take your first-person shooter gaming to the next level. Every thought that went into this controller, its features, its buttons, its design, were all made to make you better at first-person shooters. And don't think that these controllers are frowned upon by the community, because they're actually MLG and Game Battles approved. So they're not considered like cheap or cheating or anything like that. They're completely approved for all of your Game Battles and MLG events. Everybody uses them, so it's not like you're doing something illegal or anything. But let's get into sports gaming. That's why we're here today. That's what we want to talk about. So first game we're going to talk about is NHL 13. So basically, in general, with NHL 13, it doesn't give you a great advantage over a player with a normal controller. However, the buttons on the back, you can start using some of the skills that most people forget about or just can't pull off because they got to take their hand off of the stick, especially the lift stick button, which is kind of tough to pull off if you're skating around the ice. So let's get into the plus. So first, the domed analog stick. It makes it feel really good when you're skating. Obviously, with NHL 13, they've changed the skating around a ton, so now it's more physics-based, so you can't just cut on dimes now. So it really helps with the analog stick, or with the domed analog stick, that it feels like you can move into cuts a lot easier and a lot more precise with the dome stick. That's just my opinion, and I think if you've played with it a little bit, especially on the PlayStation 3, you can definitely help if you're on Xbox to have the dome stick when you're skating. And the Scuf button on the back, you can use it to lift sticks a lot easier. Right now, you have to take your hand off of the stick to hit the, the circle button or the square button on the PlayStation 3, or the X button on I forget what button it is. That's why, because no one really uses it that much, because you have to take your hand off of the analog stick. If you played NHL 13 at all, you know that both analog sticks come into play with shooting and skating, so it's really tough for you to take your hand off of the sticks. So being able to just press the back button to lift a stick here and there, it's going to help you a lot. I tend to use it a lot more now that that I just have that nice button on the back to do that. One of the minuses, and it's not really too much of a minus. It's just you need to make sure that you're aware of it. The bumper on the Xbox, the bumper stops that basically allow stop the movement from going down on your left and right bumpers. It can affect your pass power. Obviously, you're not pushing the button all the way in, so it doesn't know how hard you want to pass that puck. So if you take the the bumper stops out, it's a huge improvement. So just make sure that you know if you have the bumper stops on for Call of Duty and you want to switch to NHL, make sure you unscrew that. And it just takes a little Allen wrench to take the screw out, so it's not a huge deal, but just so you know. All right, so let's talk about Madden 13 and NCAA football. I didn't see a ton of real huge gameplay things that are gonna take your gaming to the next level with the Scuf with Madden and NCAA football. Probably one of the big things that I saw that you could do is allow you to use the back button to do stiff arms or spin moves without taking your thumb off of the right stick. Now, obviously, it's not a huge deal to have to take your thumb off the stick. You're really only using that to do tucks or cuts, juke moves. But you could go right from a spin right into a juke without taking your finger off the analog stick, so no big deal there. I didn't really see any minuses at all with any Madden or NCAA football. Pretty much all positive. Again, just the scuff grip on the back and the domed analog sticks just seem to make you feel like you can actually play a little bit cleaner. But again, nothing that's going to be a huge advantage for you if you're buying a Scuf just for Madden. Now for MLB The Show, the sticks feel more responsive when you're swinging it. When you're swinging, swinging for the fences or whatever, it feels like it's just more responsive. Like I don't know. From my experience, I seem to be hitting a lot better now that I'm using the Scuf. And the back grip really excels for this game. With MLB, it's very there's a lot of tension when you're playing. Obviously, it's a simulation type game, so you're not going to be an all-star every time you're up to bat. So long gaming sessions or pressure situations, especially in this game, it really gets you going. You get your hands all sweaty, and you lose focus and lose concentration when you're having to deal with making sure the controller is not slipping on your hands. So definitely awesome to have that Scuf grip on the back of the controller when you're playing MLB 12 The Show. Absolutely. Another plus is there's no rumble in the controller, and definitely if you played this game in pressure situations, that rumbling of the controller can affect your timing, can affect your swing. It's a little bit of a minus if you're looking at it from a pitching perspective. If you're going too far out of the zone, it'll rumble to give you notification that, hey, this pitch is pretty far out of the zone. So you could look at it as a minus if you're a pitcher, but obviously a positive if you are a hitter. Another minus is the button on the back really doesn't affect gameplay, and it's not really the controller's fault, it's just the nature of the game. You don't really use any of the face buttons very often in the game, except for when you're throwing in defensively, if you're throwing to first base or second base or whatever, but it doesn't really affect the gameplay because you don't use the right analog stick when you're on the field. So that's it for MLB. NBA 2K13. Now this one could go either way. I see some things that are nice for it, and I can see some things that would make you not want to use it. Now the Scuf paddles are great for stealing and shot blocks. It lets you keep your hands on the right analog stick. A lot of people don't use the right analog stick a ton in NBA, but it actually does help quite a bit keeping your hands up when you're in defense or off to the side. It allows you to steal a little bit easier, so you can concentrate on that while always having your fingers on those back paddles to go for a steal or go for a shot block. So the more I use it, the more I find myself liking it for that aspect. And sometimes for people, if you're using the LT or RT for shots or steals, or not steals, but shots, or like if you hold down the left trigger to do your shooting with the analog stick, sometimes the hair triggers can mess that up a little bit, or the bumper stops can affect your shots a little bit. I tend to shoot with the buttons over the triggers, so it's not affecting me, but I could see where that could come into play for some people. Now racing games, let's talk about racing games just a little bit. The paddles are awesome in the racing games, I'll tell you. If you can get your game to allow you to customize your buttons, and you can set the back pedals for shifting, it feels like you're really racing in a Formula 1 car, because if you know anything about racing, the actual shifters are on the back of the steering wheel. So you have shift up and shift down, one on the left, one on the right. So when you're driving, it just feels so natural just to push those buttons in the back to downshift or upshift. It's perfect. It is perfect for it. It's awesome. And then also the domed analog stick allows you to just be more precise with your steering. It just feels so much more natural than the concave sticks on the Xbox. I'd 100% recommend this if you're a racing enthusiast. The only thing that I would suggest is the bumper stops and hair triggers can definitely affect your acceleration and your braking. Usually in racing games, your RT and your LT buttons are used for acceleration and braking. So when you got the hair trigger, sometimes it can affect some stuff, and especially the bumper stoppers can affect your acceleration. So you can obviously either take the bumpers out or the bumper stops out when you do racing games, or if you're just going to use this strictly for racing games, you can just get it ordered without bumper stops and hair triggers, because you can obviously customize everything with Scuf 100%. So check those out for sure. Lastly, let's talk about FIFA 13, and I'm basing all these games on my experiences. Obviously, the more I play with this, the more I find new things. So if you have a Scuf gaming controller and you play any of these games, make sure you leave a comment and let me know what your thoughts are. But I definitely recommend it for some of these games. But let's talk about FIFA 13. One of the pluses I found is you can shoot or pass with the bumpers without taking your thumb off analog stick for skill moves. Now, you use the right analog stick to perform all of your skill moves, or most of them anyways, and you can go right from a skill move right into a pass or a shot a little bit easier if you're using those back bumpers for shooting and passing, especially after you start getting used to, hey, this is where I shoot, this is where I pass. You can pull off a lot more skill moves right into shots or passes with this controller. It definitely takes some getting used to, but once you figure it out, it's it's a game changer, I think. Minuses, I didn't really find any. There's really nothing on the controller that's going to make you worse at FIFA or make the gameplay any less than it is, because you can obviously just not use the back bumpers if you don't want and just play normally with the Scuf grip on the back. Just again, the Scuf grip is just what really sets this controller apart for me in every single game that I play in it. But no really minuses. So there you have it. That's my take on Scuf gaming controllers in sport gaming. Overall, you will see a good amount of benefit when using this controller with sports games, just like you use in first-person shooters. It might not be as drastic as first-person shooters, but you could definitely see where this could help you in your sports games. Some games will definitely be more noticeable than others, and it's all based on their button layouts, what their buttons do, and how much you use that right analog stick. Because the whole point of those back buttons is to keep your thumb on that right analog stick for as long as possible, because again, any game that uses that right analog stick for a lot of stuff, you don't want to take your thumb off of it. So those paddles make a huge difference. So if you have any games you'd like me to try out with these controllers, leave them in the comment section below, or if you have some ideas of what can make it better, I'll definitely experiment with these for you guys. So if there's any games I left out, even if it's not a sports game, just leave a comment below and I'll try it out for sure. So also, if you have a Scuf gaming controller already, do you use it to play any other games? Do you find it to be better at certain games than others? Leave a comment below for that too. But thanks again for Scuf Gaming, for the controllers, for testing these puppies out. And thanks to all you guys, Scuf has given me a coupon code that you can use to get 5% off your entire order. The coupon code is actually Yeousch, Y-E-O-U-S-C-H. And if you go to scufgaming.com and at checkout you type in Yeousch in the coupon code, you'll get 5% off your entire order. The link to their site and the coupon code is in the description. So Make sure you go check that out. And like I said, if you're a Call of Duty guy, you definitely need to get this right now. If you're a sports guy, take my advice and pick one up, because I'm telling you, I use it all the time now. I have not yet gone back to my old controllers. Scuf is where it's at. So thanks again for watching, and go get that Scuf. I promise you will not regret it. Peace.